Hey guys, welcome back. Woodworking here. Really excited about this game. Just going to be another gameplay breakdown, and me on Lance. Surprise, surprise. I actually haven't done one of these in a short minute, so I don't mind throwing another Lance game your way. But the reason I'm excited about it is I played really well. I didn't play perfect, made a lot of mistakes, but I played really well, and the things I did well are things that are hard to give you guys video examples of. One of the things is my positioning was pretty good throughout the game. I frontlined when I needed to. I body blocked some Alpha A abilities, which is kind of hard to do. And then also my macro game was excellent. Like it's a solo queue game, so I don't have comms with either of these people other than pings, and this is spectator view, so you can't see my pings anyway. But when I made decisions to either take objectives or go into their jungle and take farm, I think overall they were the right decisions. So I'll try to point those things out as they come up. So I'll point out one thing that already happened. You saw there, as we approached the Elder Treant, I flared their shot bush and part of their tri-bush, and I was able to see that their fronts were already taken. So I knew that since the enemy team wasn't in any of the spots I flared and they had already taken their fronts, they were probably on some weird rotation, either backwards rotation or started with their mid and then rotated through the backs. And so we're able to take the Elder, and we're already up because we now took more farm than they did. Great start to the game, and right now early game's really important. As we approach lane here, I'm looking on the mini-map, sliding up to see that Blackfeather is actually pretty low. And you know, Blackfeather's going to have a hard time early game against Ringo. He doesn't have the range, and he has to be up in Ringo's face to farm. Arden's going to overextend here, trying to put some more damage on Blackfeather, so I push him out of position under the turret, and then I impale Ringo, because I know Ringo's our target. We don't really care about Arden. We'll take a kill on him if we can get it, but our main target, especially since Samuel decided to rotate to lane, which was excellent by him, we want to get a kill on Ringo. And we're able to get a kill on both because I kept Arden out of position after he overextended with my Githian wall, and then I landed the root on Ringo. And Ringo didn't expect me to root him there. He expected me to impale probably Arden, since I was already targeting him. So something to throw in your game there if you get a similar opportunity. Keep people, if somebody's out of position, keep them out of position with your Githian wall. And there's a pretty good example of my positioning that I was talking about. I'm keeping myself in between Alpha and Blackfeather, so that Alpha can't use her A to get onto Blackfeather. And she missed it completely there, but just take note of my positioning throughout the game, because like I said, I think it's one of the things I did really well. I see Samuel's on the Elder again, and I want the ambient experience and gold for it, so I dropped down out of lane, and now we're going to be able to get the fronts. As I walk into this tri-bush, I see Alpha still doesn't have her second life back up. So even though it might have been a risky move, it's an easy kill for us to get 2v1, and then Blackfeather does a great job dropping down. One of the things I didn't do well this game is I actually missed a lot of impales. I haven't been playing as much as I used to, so my mechanics are not as great as they used to be honest with you. And you'll see me throughout this game miss a few impales. The ones I do hit, though, are generally pretty good. I got a lot of double impales as well. And I use the impale to peel really well, so take note of that too. One thing to be mindful of when you have a melee carry is that they're forced, just by the nature of them being melee, to farm pretty much right in front of the enemy's mustache / lane bush, whatever you want to call it. So you can see in situations like this where Blackfeather has to be up there, I'll force myself into the enemy's lane bush because I don't want Alpha to wander up without us knowing, and then them to jump on him 3v1. And it's just a really supportive thing you can do for your laner, just positioning wise. You're not, actively trying to be aggressive. You're just being there almost as like a steady case of vision. And then obviously, specifically with Lance, you should do this with pretty much any support characters, but obviously with Lance it puts a lot of pressure on Ringo too if he knows that I'm in that shot bush, even if he can see me. Just the fact that I'm that close to his side of the turret puts a lot of pressure on him because he can't see our mustache bush, so he doesn't know if Samuel's coming up behind us. I shopped and grabbed some vision there. I'm going to put mines in, all 3 of our bushes, which is something I've told you guys should be your minimum level of vision throughout the game. I don't do a great job of keeping it up most of the game, but as you'll see this game goes on, we're already way ahead. You can see we're 6 kills to 0 and up on gold, so I'm not saying you don't need vision when you're ahead, but I wouldn't say it's as huge of a priority when you're ahead to have vision. It's still a great thing to have. It's never a bad idea to have vision, and there's never too much vision. But, my focus is on other things, and because we fight so much this game, I don't really get a lot of opportunities to shop. That was another great example of positioning. So Alpha does get the A on Blackfeather, and there's nothing I can do about it, but after that, I Githian wall Alpha as far away from Blackfeather as I can, and then stand in between Alpha and my team. And you can see as this fight's going on, I'm doing the same thing. I see Alpha's about to explode, and I push her away from my teammates so that the explosion damage doesn't land on her. Probably a little premature fountain by me there. I swear that never happens. Anyways, I could have waited a minute, but it looked like it was going to go a lot worse than it was. Like if their whole team had rotated onto Samuel right there when Alpha got the jump on him, that could have gone way worse. And then we're doing a pretty good job, and part of it's my missed impales of not grabbing turret aggro since we have minions under the turret. So we were able to kind of just position under their turret without taking damage from the turret until we secured a kill. So that was good. Obviously, if I had landed one of the impales, my teammates would have jumped on whoever I impaled. So, even if my impales had landed, it's not like it would have gone poorly, but my missed impales actually didn't cost us too much there because it prevented the turret from aggroing onto me. As I head back up to lane here, Blackfeather did a really good job getting a kill on Ringo, and he's half health now, but we have minions under turret, so obviously we're going to do damage on this turret. Blackfeather's build, specifically in this game, which is pretty standard Serpent's Mass breaking point, and then also in general, he doesn't do a ton of damage, so I don't think there was any way, even if Alpha hadn't rotated, that we take that turret right there. But you saw that after Alpha came up and jumped on Blackfeather, I walked down with Blackfeather, keeping myself in between Alpha and Blackfeather so Alpha wouldn't stay on him. And then the moment I knew Blackfeather was safe, I went back to my quickest route of safety, which was to the turret, not to follow Blackfeather. And then I actually baited Arden and Alpha into staying on me, and Arden used his gauntlet because I knew I had Fountain, and they were under our turret, and then, I didn't know that fight was going to go exactly as it happened, but I knew I wasn't going to die. And they overextended, and then my teammates converged really well, and we were able to get that kill on Alpha. Really good Githian wall by me there. It didn't, like I said, it doesn't always need to be a stun, but if you're not stunning, it does need to be, an effective form of crowd control. And I kept Ringo away from the turret there. Nothing I could really do for Blackfeather there. Unfortunately, my fountain just wasn't up in time. I know he probably thought that I just didn't use it on him, so that kind of sucks, but oh well. Talking about positioning some more. Part of my positioning is what it enables me to do these two-person impales. And then here, instead of body blocking for Samuel, like I've been saying I've been doing the whole game, because I was low, I was at like a third health or less, I don't want to be frontlining anymore. I'm too low to be the frontliner. It doesn't mean I'm going to take myself out of the fight. You saw there, I pushed myself back into the fight to peel Alpha and Ringo off of Samuel, but I can't frontline anymore with that little health. And so you saw me change my positioning away from being a frontliner to just being in the fight, but more on the back line, since Samuel was full health and I was only at a third. It was a good call by me to go check the mid, because I figured Alpha would drop down there and try to take it, and of course she did. And I was able to steal it away from her. We probably could have gotten a kill on it if either one of my teammates would have converged on her, but unfortunately that's not how it went down. Really good poke here by Samuel, and then, you know, Ringo blocked my impale, but the impale was still exactly where it needed to be. Ringo had no choice. He had to run that way because he was getting blasted by Samuel from below, and so good job by my teammates there. Really good job. And then a big thing I want to point out, and I'll probably do a replay of it. So I didn't use my fountain in that fight because there was no more damage for Samuel to potentially be taking. And then the moment I saw Alpha appear, I fountained. I pre-fountained before Alpha even got in the fight because Samuel was too low to just stand there and take damage from Alpha. And I wanted to get that fountain working at, you know, a tick as much as possible, and that timing of my fountain probably saved Samuel's life there. So I talked about in my how to use Fountain of Renewal video that, you know, it's not always that you fountain at a certain percentage, it's the potential for your teammates to take damage. And there's a really good example of fountaining before your teammate is even taking damage. I just knew he was about to take a ton of damage, and that's why I used it there. I don't know why Blackfeather didn't help us with that gold mine. He's been doing that the whole game. You see me like a couple times make the correct call to go on the gold mine, and he just either wants to stay in lane and not really do much other than farm, or I don't know. He's not into it, so it could have cost us there. Arden actually had a chance to steal that gold mine away from us. There's another good example of positioning. Blackfeather ran away, but Alpha couldn't see that, and Alpha's trying to use his A to jump onto Blackfeather. So you saw me roll down under Alpha so that even if she had used the correct angle to where Blackfeather was, like just guessed correctly, I'm still in the way, and I'm still going to body block that A from her so that she can't get onto him. Blackfeather and I see that Ringo's overextended here, and we know Arden's walking back into their jungle initially, so we both run up to try to jump on him, and Arden uses everything to keep Ringo alive here. Gauntlet, Fountain, and Crucible, and still, because Ringo was overextended, he's still going to die for it. Samuel has some excellent rotations this game. This Samuel's really, really good, if you haven't been able to tell yet. So he's the one that secured the kill, but even with them using all the support abilities their support had, Ringo still ended up dying. And that's a good example of why you shouldn't overextend. And the reason it was like if Arden was with him, it wouldn't really be overextending, but Arden wasn't with him, so we were able to run up there and jump on him. I'll go ahead and fast forward here because there's not really anything happening. But as we come out of the fast forward, Arden throws a flare that I'm not within vision of, and you see me stay outside of the vision of that flare so that they don't know I'm there. Nothing really comes of it, but if you have the chance to not be within flare range and still be in a bush or in a position to help your team, definitely do that. And then also take note that once Alpha jumps on Samuel, there's no really effective way for me to use my abilities, so I didn't use either of them until we got further towards our side of the jungle and I was able to stun with Githian Wall. And this is one of those things, like when you see me do gameplay breakdowns of people that are lower tier, they would have always used one of their abilities there, probably Githian Wall, just because they feel like they have to help their teammate. But Alpha's not going to burst Samuel down, you know, in 3 hits. So if there's not a reason to use your abilities yet, save them, because they'll be much more effective later on. Blackfeather finally helps us with Goldmine there, so that's nice. Nice change of pace from him. I probably should have bought mines here and replaced all the ones that had been erased, but instead I'm gonna build towards contraption, which isn't a horrible idea either way. Like I said, we're way ahead in this game, so I can kind of get away with that, but if the conservative correct decision would have been to get the mines first and then gone and bought the hourglass. There's a long drawn-out fight coming up here, and note that Alpha goes into this fight with this regen from the treant, but the thing is, Blackfeather has Breaking Point and Samuel has Broken Myth, and neither of the other team members have any items. They don't have those items, so they don't have anything that stacks and causes them to do more damage as time goes on, other than Ringo has a bone saw. So the longer the fight goes on for us, the better. There's a lot of things that happen in the fight, but they're pretty basic. That's why I didn't take time to like know when Atlas was used or whatever. There's 4 Atlases on the board right now, so pretty much most of the people that need to be Atlas are going to be Atlas most of every fight. I thought Samuel was actually going to have an easier time finishing off Arden there, or Arden was going to get away. So that's why I didn't chase Arden. I didn't want to, spend a minute and a half chasing Arden around when I knew we could take the Krakens. I just wanted to point out why I didn't stay with Samuel, in case some of you were wondering, like, well, you're the support, why don't you help your teammates? Sometimes the objectives are more important than dancing around trying to get that last kill. A lot of times, actually. So, an interesting and calamitous series of events, is about to happen here. I go AFK because I had to do something in real life there, and Blackfeather was down there trying to kill the Crystal Miner, which he did, but Alpha happened to be taking her backs at the same time, and so because I was AFK, I didn't notice it until too late, and then Samuel and me try to run down there, but by that time, Alpha's taken, or done too much damage to Blackfeather, and I did do a positioning error there. I've been talking about how I want to be in front of Alpha so he can't jump on Blackfeather or Samuel the whole game. And then I didn't do it there because I tried to root right as Alpha came out of reboot, and I missed my root on a stationary target. So that just shows you how poor my mechanics have gotten. And so Alpha's able to finish off Blackfeather. And then by that point, we're 3v2, and Ringo comes in and just finishes off Samuel. Kind of sucks for a couple reasons. We didn't need to take the Crystal Miner. That was an easy winning Kraken push. Both my teammates were worth full bounties, so we just gave over 1,200 gold to the enemy team. More than that with assist gold. Plus Kraken gold of 1,500, so we just handed the enemy team easily 3 grand, and we got what, 2 turrets off of it. Not the greatest trade, and in a game where we were ahead, and that easily would have been the end of the game. Kind of unfortunate that things went that way. It wasn't all Blackfeather's fault. I made my mistakes too, and going AFK, it's a nice excuse, but we're playing a game, so that's my bad. I really thought I was going to get that stun on Arden there, so I remember being kind of upset that it went that way in-game. But you see me stay in the fight. Even though I'm super low, I'm just staying in the fight. And then the moment I know Alpha's about to use an ability on me, I hit War Treads to throw off her timing on my speed boost. So I think I made up for my poor play earlier in that specific fight. And then, so this game's over, right? But once again, Blackfeather's killing Crystal Miners. Like, we need the weapon power damage on these turrets. We can't not have it. And you would think this game would be over, and it should be. But a couple things are at play here. Blackfeather's build isn't great for burning through turret barrier, and my teammates do this thing that a lot of teams that are ahead do, where they just, you know, go for kills instead of actually finishing the game. So you can see us keep going back and forth to turret. And I've talked about this in a couple other gameplay breakdowns. Like, when you have a chance to win the game, just win the game. There's no reason that we should have not taken this crystal miner. My teammates were just being cocky and decided to try to get kills. And so we get ace for it. And, you know, good for the other team. Always staying in the game. And bad on my teammates for trying to get cocky. I really dislike this stuff, but there's not a lot I can do as a roam. Like, I can't single-handedly destroy the vein. I don't do enough damage. So we're still fine in this game. We can still easily kill this Kraken, win a fight, and then go take the enemy's vein. I think I've called it a crystal miner a couple times because I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. But unfortunately, my teammates decided to throw here, and I didn't realize how stacked Alpha was. So I talked in another fight about how they didn't have Broken Myth and Breaking Point. Well, now Alpha does have Broken Myth. So that by the time I even get to that fight, because of respawn time, Alpha already has 8 stacks. So he's almost fully stacked. And I didn't realize how much damage she was going to do with one ability. And so I fountained a little bit late there. But like I'm saying, I didn't know how much damage she was going to do because of her breaking point, or excuse me, Broken Myth stacks. So I don't know why my teammates were trying to 2v3. Just, I guess they're just continuing on this, you know, being cocky because we've been destroying the whole game. But you know, you can see this game actually looks pretty scary now, right? They've got a half full Kraken, 3 members full health, pushing into our base, and we don't really have a comp that burns down Krakens. So now we're down to 1 turret, and I do some poor plays. I'm not sure what the play is here. I think we probably should have taken Kraken because it's going to go through this turret before it dies. But fortunately, we're able to get a couple kills and end this game. There's not much more to say about all this stuff. I've told you in the past, I do not like cocky plays that, you know, one team's doing just because they're ahead. Arden makes the only play they really have left to try to come destroy the vein. We knew it was probably coming. I didn't realize he was that close and was going to just turn around. So you saw me drop that mine, and then as I'm walking away, I realized, oh, he's already at the vein. So no problem. We can go back and kill him pretty easily. And then Blackfeather finishes off the vein. So we do win, fortunately, but the game didn't need to be that long, and we didn't need to be cocky. Like, it's just poor sportsmanship, right? The other team knows we were destroying them. We don't need to dance around and give them a chance to get back in the game because we're good enough to beat them again. I don't know. Not my favorite thing people do. Builds look pretty standard. I don't think anybody did anything too out there. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I really do hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the fold.